Let love surround you and keep you safe and warm. May the music in our heart be a shelter from...
Welcome to Salinity Presents, a podcast where I interview the vendors and friends of Salinity Seafood More, my business here on Whidbey Island, the largest island in Washington state. My name is Emily Wilder. I'm the CEO of Salinity, and I am here today with Callie from Tru Tallow. Thanks for being here with me, Callie.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us about your business?
Absolutely. At Tru Tallow, we make small batch, hand-rendered, tallow-based skincare from locally sourced animals. Right now, we're sourcing local beef and local sheep for our products. We make a wide variety of skincare for the whole body, head to toe.
How did you get started with this?
This started for me in 2020. I had just recently become an empty nester, and my son had moved away and was working during the pandemic, washing his hands a ton and working with chemicals, and he developed some pretty bad hand eczema. He had always had a little bit of eczema, but it had gotten really bad. He was starting down the route of doing some topical steroids, and I knew what potential damage that could lead to if you start down that road. I've researched a lot about topical steroid withdrawal, so I didn't want him to start down that road and then have to go through something like that. I started researching different methods of helping him with settling the eczema. I discovered tallow was at that point very newly being discussed online as something that could help treat that. I realized how fortunate am I that I have access to a ranch right down the road from me that raises a locally grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And so I was able to get some suet from Three Sisters Farms here on Whidbey and start making it for him. And it helped him right away. It didn't take it completely away, but it settled it down. We realized eczema for most people is a systemic issue, and treating it topically is kind of just a band-aid. So you kind of need to figure out what's going wrong systemically and try and clear that up. We did discover what was going on with him. It's dairy, and that affects my entire family actually. But what it did do is because he was washing his hands so much and having to put on gloves and take off gloves, and it was just really aggravated. It calmed it way down. And then he started sharing it with some friends that were having some similar issues. And my daughter started using it on her face because she gets eczema around her lips. It was really helping them. And they said, you need to start making this for more of the family, which I did. I started shipping it off to my sister and my mom and extended family. And everyone loved it and said, you need to keep making this and share it. And so I did. And it just kind of blossomed into this business that I wasn't really prepared to be in, but now I'm in it. So that's how it all started.
How many years have you been selling it to non-family members?
I started in 2021. In May was when Tru Tallow officially started as a business.
And where did you get the name?
Oh, we went through a lot of series of it, but my husband came up with it and it stuck. We like the name Tru because there's a lot of tallow makers. And even since 2021, I still felt like I was in a small pond at that point. I was a small fish in a small pond, but now I'm a small fish in a huge pond. So many tallow makers, but our tallow, we call it Tru because it's truly from the suet of the animal. And we're trying to stay true to retaining as much nutrition as possible in the tallow, as well as only adding the most natural and pure ingredients to it and not adding anything unnatural. So that's how Tru happened. And it just kind of rolls off the tongue.
For somebody who might be listening who's never heard of tallow and really doesn't understand why you're talking about farms, you give a little tallow 101.
Absolutely. Tallow is fat from any ruminant animal. So any animal that chews its cud, you can get tallow from. Specifically for skincare, tallow should be taken from the suet of the animal. And the suet is a large chunk of fat that surrounds the kidneys. That's just a great place where a lot of nutrition is stored in that big chunk of fat. And you'll hear about tallow for cooking as well. And a lot of that tallow that you're finding offered in stores is not necessarily from the suet of the animal. It's from trim fat or other sources of fat within the animal. And that's fine. But for skincare, we've realized it's really important that you use the suet. You get a much cleaner, more golden, richer product by using the suet. And we had to go through, it was more than a year, about 18 months of testing and trialing our rendering process. So you take the suet, this big chunk of fat, you chop it down into little pieces, and then you go through a rendering process, which is heating it, but you want to heat it very low and very slow to retain as much nutrition as possible. You don't want to cook out the nutrition We end up rendering the suet in order to get what is called tallow. And you can do that with any ruminant animal's fat. You can do it with deer or sheep, bison. There's a lot of different types of tallows being offered right now. In a nutshell, that's what tallow is. And if you wonder, why would you want to put it on your skin? It's full of nutrition. It's full of vitamins A, D, E, and K. And it's full of omega fatty acids, which are just really great at calming inflammation in the skin. We like to say it's superfood for your skin because it's more than moisture. While it does feel very moisturizing to your skin, it's actually feeding your skin the nutrition it needs to heal. So it's ancestral skincare. It's what our great-great-grandparents used to use before petroleum-based products in the stores. And it's just a fantastic natural product to put on your skin and to keep it healthy.
I know you have your unscented that we sell in the shop, and then we have your rose. Tell me about some of the different ingredients that you add to the tallow, and I know you have a couple new lines as well.
Right. We do a whole line of whole body whips, which are meant to be used obviously over your whole body, so head to toe. And those typically are made with the tallow base, and then we add organic jojoba oil and Australian emu oil to those products, along with therapeutic grade essential oils. We pick out specific ones that will be beneficial for aiding in different skin ailments that you might have or just encouraging health in the skin. We're trying to convert right now into using more herbal infusions instead of essential oils. I know some people prefer less essential oils in their products. So we're growing actually a lot of our own herbs here at our house. And I'm growing calendula and chamomile and helichrysum and lavender. And those are all being freeze dried. We take them in and we freeze dry them because once again, our focus is on keeping nutrition. And when you freeze dry an herb, it retains much more of the nutrition than just drying it. So we freeze dry it and then we infuse it into the jojoba oil. And we do that infusion for 8 to 10 weeks. And then we add that to many of our different products. We have lots of different products with different oils added to them. We have a citrus one. We have one called hippie spice that has a lot of really beneficial oils in it. That also has patchouli, has a nice little hippie scent to it. And like you mentioned that you carry at the shop, we have the pure that has no essential oils at all in it. For those that are highly sensitive, we found that's a really good one. Great for use on baby care as well. And then we have the 2 premium products. You carry the rose, which has rose hip seed oil in it, as well as rose absolute. And that's just a beautiful high vitamin C. I intended it specifically for facial care, but it can be used all over your body as well. But it's just really got a nice high vitamin C quality to it, which helps with fighting inflammation, rosacea, age spots, that kind of thing. We also have another premium one called True Blue, and that one has blue tansy oil in it, as well as a lot of other age-defying oils like neroli, copaiba, frankincense. And that one is by far, I think, my bestseller. My True Blue by far outsells all the rest of mine. I get a lot of orders for that.
Tell me more about the benefits of those ingredients that you add to the True Blue.
Blue tansy specifically is just miraculous for the skin. It's calmed my rosacea. It's been my ride or die since I started making it in the beginning. It was my first premium product and I started using it right away. So I've been using it for 5 years now. And it's my nighttime moisturizer. Basically, it's my last thing I put on before I go to sleep. And it has helped calm my rosacea. It's helped fade an age spot, a significant age spot. I had a dime size age spot on my face that it pretty much faded. It took about 18 months, but it took it away. It's just changed the texture of my skin. It just makes it smoother and glowier. And I used to always wear makeup. I hardly ever wear makeup anymore now. So it's just a nice moisturizing product. The blue tansy helps with, like I said, the inflammation, which shows up oftentimes as rosacea in people's faces. But it also can help with cystic acne, that kind of thing, because actually the tallow itself is antibacterial and antifungal. It has those properties within it. It's in the omegas where you find those properties. I say that if you have oily skin, it will bring it into balance. And if you have dry skin, it will bring it into balance. It doesn't make your face oily. If you already have oily skin, that's not what it does. It actually will help balance that oiliness in your face.
How do you recommend that people use it? Like, how much do you use?
Yeah, everyone is a little different because everyone has different things going on with their skin. But I always recommend with tallow to start slow. And so you're going to use a pea size amount. I like melting it on my fingers first and then applying it. Personally, I like applying it at night. And then I find that I don't need to put tallow on in the morning because because it's done its work overnight and I wake up and my face is moisturized. Other people, though, tell me they like putting it on in the morning before their makeup, and that's something that their skin is able to handle. For me personally, I've been using the tallow for 5 years and I couldn't imagine putting it on before my makeup if I'm wearing makeup, but other people, it's working really well in that way. So I always just say, see what works for you. If you like putting it on in the morning and that feels great for your skin, then do that. I always recommend people start with a pea-size amount and build from there. And if it starts feeling heavy on your face or like it's not soaking in, then you've used too much. You just move it to another area and it'll soak right in.
I know it's very effective also on like your feet.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that at night.
For sure. Oh gosh, I keep it on my nightstand. I have Heaven Scent on my nightstand. Heaven Scent is the one that's made with my calendula and chamomile infused jojoba oil. I'm at the age of menopause and my leg skin is lizardy all the time. I have that really dry, flaky skin on my legs now, but the tallow has really helped with that dry skin down there. And also, yeah, cracked feet in the summer or in the winter, you get that cracked skin and it really clears it up.
Yeah, and in such a more natural way than a lot of those intense lotions that are out there.
Right.
Could you speak a little bit to why natural skincare? Like what's so wrong with what I can get at the grocery store?
Well, for me, I just have to look at the label and know that I don't need to be putting all those ingredients on my skin. It's a lot of petroleum-based products, a lot of chemicals. Quite often there's dyes in it. It's like, why would you need to do that? It's lotion. For me, I think in most of my life, I'm leaning more towards natural things and looking at labels. Skincare seemed to just be the next step, to not be putting chemicals on my face and to be using something natural. I find that I don't even wash my face with soap anymore. I'm really just about protecting my skin barrier and not stripping it. And the tallow really helps with that too. Some people enjoy using it as like an oil-based cleanser. Instead of using soap, you can use the tallow and wash your face with tallow, then put a warm washcloth on your face, and then it'll just soak right in. It's so nice.
Can you tell me more about the other oils that you add? So you add jojoba oil and then you said emu oil as well?
Yeah, emu oil, which is another animal-based oil. It comes from actually the fat of the emu bird. It's just another one of those powerhouse fats that just has so much nutrition in it. A lot of people use just pure emu oil on their skin for fighting eczema. I had first heard about it for helping aid with eczema and psoriasis, and so that's why I started including it in my tallow. Also because it has a nice stability for as far as being shelf stable. It lasts a long time. The oils that I add to my tallow encourage it to last longer instead of going rancid faster. These are all natural oils, so there is a lifespan to them. So besides just being super beneficial with the nutrition that's in the emu oil, it helps extend the life of the tallow. The same thing with the jojoba oil. The jojoba is a bit of a drier oil, and when your tallow is already, I don't want to call it greasy, but it is. I mean, it's a fat, so fat is grease, but you don't really want to be adding a really heavy oil. I know that some tallow makers add castor oil to theirs, and to me, that's just too heavy. Tallow is kind of a heavy product to begin with, so I wanted to use some lighter, drier oils. Rosehip oil is the same way. It's a kind of a drier oil. It's not super heavy, and it has a nice shelf life as well, and wonderful benefits for the skin.
And why is it that you would want to add anything to the tallow?
Well, after rendering the tallow at room temperature, tallow is hard like a brick when it cools. So you have to add something to it. If you're ordering tallow from someone and they're like, it's 100% pure tallow, there's nothing added to it, and it looks like a cream, I have a hard time believing that. You have to add something to the tallow to make it creamy, to maintain that soft texture. That was a balancing project for me when I first started making, finding those proper ratio of the oils to the tallow so that I wasn't adding too much of the oils because I wanted the tallow to be the star. A lot of people, I was seeing them make these whips online and it was so soft and lotiony and almost pourable. And I was like, that's got to just feel like an oil slick because you're adding so much oils to it. And I tried. I was like, well, maybe I can make it softer, but it always felt oily then instead of feeling the tallow. And so with my tallow whips, a lot of people expect them to be whipped like a lotion, but they're not. It's more really like a body butter is the consistency of them. And that's because I want to keep the highest amount of tallow while adding the beneficial oils, but not making it an oil slick and letting the tallow shine. Because if you want to use jojoba oil and emu oil, you can just go buy jojoba oil and emu oil and put that on your skin, and that's wonderful. But if you're wanting to use tallow, get the most tallow you can. So that was my thought process in making it the way that I do.
That's great. And do you use the same ratios for all of your different whips, or with some of the scents, do you use more jojoba or something?
No, it's pretty much the same oil to tallow ratios, just so that I'm keeping consistency as much as possible. But I will say that the texture of tallow varies depending on the season that you're getting the suet from the rancher, because the cows during different seasons are eating different things. It's a biological product, so it's not going to be the same. It's going to vary from animal to animal. Sometimes you'll have a tallow whip, and I'm adding, my recipe is always the same. I'm adding the same amounts, and my tallow is like so thick. Other times it's a little bit whippier, and people are like, it's not the right texture. It's not the same one as last time. I'm like, well, this is because this is a different cow or this is a different sheep, and it's not going to be exactly the same, but I do my best to try and keep it as close as possible. But it's, it's going to be a little biologically different with each animal. And I think that's a good thing, to be honest. I think that's a really good thing.
And you are making it in such small batches that each batch is probably even from one individual animal.
Potentially. Yeah, potentially.
So that's a great segue into talking about the source of this tallow and suet.
Yeah. So I would say a majority, probably over 90% of our suet comes from Three Sisters Farms here on Whidbey Island. They have been wonderful about being able to get me the amount of suet that I need, but there are times, especially during the holiday season, where my demand is just a little bit too much for them. I need too much and they don't have it. I then have a resource over in Skagit Valley called Northwest Meats, and they source from all of the San Juan Islands, Whidbey Island, Skagit Valley, I think as far up north as Whatcom County, but it's all grass-fed, grass-finished beef. They are the USDA butcher. So I work with them sometimes too to get some extras if I need it.
Always grass-fed.
Yes, and what's wonderful about going through them is that they have the information, any kind of meat that you buy from them or the suet that I get from them, they have the number of the rancher where that came from. So you're able to look online at that specific rancher and how they do their business and how they run their farm, and you get to research it. I make sure that as much as possible, it's definitely grass-fed, grass-finished, organic when possible, and regenerative raised is super important to me as well.
Why does that matter for skincare?
The grass-fed, grass-finished is important for skincare because fat stores toxins. Same thing with humans. Our fat stores our toxins. For skincare, you really want a cow that's been eating the nutrition from the greens that it's eating, whether that be just grass or clover or whatever the rancher is putting into their fields to feed their cattle. You're hoping, and especially with regenerative farming, you're getting more nutrition from those crops that are feeding the animals because they're getting better nutrition. And so that just directly goes to the fat, and all that nutrition is what you're getting in there and putting on your skin and feeding your skin with. So that's why it's super important.
Right, and our skin is our largest organ.
Absolutely.
Who else is involved in your business?
Well, it's mostly me, but definitely my husband. So my husband, Dan, he is, I call him the fat man, and it's not because he's, but he does all my rendering for me, and he has perfected it. He has got it down to a science with the low and slow oven-based render process. I couldn't do it without him. He does all the chopping, which is the hard work. I mean, I think I would probably have tendonitis, even worse than I have right now in my hands if I had to do all that chopping of the suet. We're looking into if this keeps going and growing into getting a grinder, but they're expensive. In the meantime, he does the chopping. You have to chop it really fine, as small as possible. I mean, you want it to look almost ground when you put it in. So you just get it as small bits as possible.
And do you render, is it just the fat like in a pot, or are you putting it in water?
No. Well, we do it a couple different ways. And if that's the part that everyone is very protective of their secret, we do a combination of wet and then dry rendering, but we do not add anything. We don't add salt or anything like that.
Oh, some people add salt.
Some people add salt, and then people add different things for different reasons. It's interesting to hear what people do. But if you research how it's made, you'll find lots of different options. But we do a combination of wet and dry rendering in the oven, so in a cast iron pot.
It's time to share one of Salinity's favorite nonprofits. The Puget Sound Restoration Fund focuses on restoring marine habitat here in Puget Sound, including planting over 140 acres so far of the native Olympia oyster species. These oysters help filter the water and support the broader ecosystem in so many ways. This amazing nonprofit partners with many local groups, businesses, and indigenous tribes to improve the future for oysters, abalone, Dungeness crab, seaweed, and virtually every creature living in or near Puget Sound. Consider donating directly or volunteering with Puget Sound Restoration Fund. Learn more at restorationfund.org. So I want to hear about some of these new products. That ties into one of my other questions, which is how do you decide what to make?
Yeah, that's hard. It's a constant battle in my head between ideas of what I want to make, but then also not making too much to water down my product line. I don't want to just offer all these different fragrance profiles. That's not what I'm about. At this point, I have about 10 products, and I feel like that's enough. I don't really want to be making more. My focus is local. I don't want to become some online huge salesperson. I just want to provide a local product to the people that are here locally or that want something to take from Whidbey, something special home with them, maybe if they're a tourist, or send something to family from Whidbey. But I think it's a battle between ideas. My husband's been begging me for the last year to make a coffee bean eye cream. He's got it stuck in his head that he thinks that is just the next thing. And I've been giving him some pushback. I just am not for it yet. Personally, I've been working on a yam and vitex cream, a wild yam and vitex cream. It's actually for hormone regulation because it's what I'm going through personally right now. And so I'm experimenting with it on myself. I've been experimenting with it for about the past 6 months, waiting to see with benefits and if I want to then offer it. It's a pretty popular thing online, not necessarily tallow-based, but other cream-based, having a wild yam and vitex, which is chased tree berry.
Okay.
Both are very beneficial for hormone regulation and hormone balancing. That's something I've been experimenting with. I recently started experimenting with infusing the tallow instead of infusing jojoba oil. Any introduction of any kind of water-based anything will introduce bacteria to the tallow. So you'll see all of these makers online, including honey in their tallow, which I actually attempted. I attempted to add honey to a lip balm. So hard to mix anything liquid-based with a fat. I realized after attempting it for about 6 months, not worth it. The difficulty of blending it is one thing, but then also just knowing that there's always a potential that there was too much moisture in the honey and it would introduce the opportunity for bacteria. So I'm very careful about what I introduce into the tallow itself, which is why I do most of my infusions in my jojoba oil. It's just safer. But I did just recently start infusing dry vanilla bean into my tallow. And I've included that in a new product. Vanilla Jasmine is my newest whip. And then I also include it in my new lip balm, which is instead of honey included, I include the vanilla infused tallow and lanolin and coconut oil and then mint. So I have a lanolin, tallow, vanilla, mint lip balm, which has been very popular so far. I've had it for about since the end of the year, since the 2025 is when I brought it out.
And so what is it about the lip balm that makes lanolin a useful addition?
Oh gosh, I love lanolin.
Yeah.
I would love to use it more.
And also tell us about lanolin.
Well, it's from sheep. It's from the fleece of sheep. It's the oil from fleece of sheep. It's just a product that is, once again, ancestral. It's what the old farmers used to use. You hear about bag balm, and it's what has been used successfully to treat hardworking hands forever. So it's one thing that I told you in the beginning that my daughter gets eczema around her lips pretty bad, and lanolin was the only thing that healed it for her. This was before I was making tallow, but she was using pure lanolin on her lips, and it really helped. And everything else just seemed to flare it, make it worse. Lanolin calmed it. So I already knew about the benefits of that. And so adding that to tallow, I'm always looking for, I don't know, things that you put with tallow that just make tallow even better. And I think lanolin for the lips is really a good one.
And is that something that you would put into a face product in the future?
I don't think I would put it on my face. It's, once again, it's a pretty heavy thing, kind of like castor. I don't know if you've worked with lanolin. It's a really sticky, heavy product. It also definitely has a smell to it that you have to overcome. We're already dealing with that a little bit with the tallow, and then you add the lanolin. That's why the vanilla is a really nice addition, because it just masks, puts this nice layer of masking over those two animal-based smells that you're getting from the lanolin. and the tallow. Our tallow, though, and you can maybe attest to this, the pure, there's no essential oils in it. There's no fragrance, no smell at all. And to me, it doesn't smell beefy. A lot of people will say that they've ordered tallow online and they've gotten it and it just smells like hamburger.
I have had that tallow.
Yeah. And that's part of our rendering process. It's so key. One, sourcing is so key for that. And then two, the rendering process and how low and slow you cook it, because any kind of high heat is what's going to make that smell just pop out. So if you keep it low and slow, it really helps with not only maintaining the nutrition, but not having that beefy smell when you're done at the end.
You know, when we are introducing people to the tallow in the shop, we have a little free sample, but sometimes people are even wary of going near it at all if they've never been introduced because they're scared of the beefiness of it. And then they're pleasantly surprised when they realize it doesn't smell like it at all.
Yeah. Back to the lanolin is great, I think, for lips. I don't think that I'll be putting it in any other applications. So I might do a new flavor. That's actually where I was hoping to use coffee. I wanted a coffee vanilla lip balm, but that would be a whole new infusing of the tallow with not just the vanilla, but also I'd have to get a pure coffee bean, which I would be very particular about sourcing on that as well. So we're looking into that and sourcing the right beans for that application. And then once I'm doing that, I'm sure my husband will get his way and an eye cream might appear.
The tallow itself is so good for under the eyes. My question is, do you need an additional product?
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it. But he thinks different marketing wise. He's a graphic designer and marketing person. So, his mind goes in different directions.
I definitely think it'll sell.
Yeah, that's not why I make things just because I think they're going to sell well. I make things that I think I would really enjoy. For me, the jasmine had to happen and I held off for a long time. But jasmine to me is like the most heavenly smell on the planet. Then adding the vanilla to it. Oh, it's just, as soon as I made it, I sent it to my daughter. She's like, this is the one. And all she's been using for years is Heaven Sent. And she's like, this is the best one. I don't want anything else.
Yeah, we have a giant jasmine bush out here and it's amazing. One of the best times of the year.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. A lot of these fragrances, they're not artificial fragrance. They're natural fragrances that are plant derived. They're so good for your nervous system. Like the rose is such a nervous system calmer. So using that at night on your face, it serves multi-purpose.
Yep, it calms me down a lot.
And I wasn't a rose fan, but now when I make it, I love it. It actually makes me feel so good to make it. And I'm not even like, rose is not my favorite scent, but now it's become really wonderful.
You have a new beard product as well.
Oh yeah, that's our sheep tallow product. It's the only thing that we're making with sheep tallow currently. We call it Fleece Grease to pay homage to the fleece, although it's not made from the fleece with the lanolin. It's just the sheep suet we're getting, and then we render it the same way. And then I'm infusing the jojoba oil with rosemary, which I grow, rosemary, the calendula, and burdock root. Burdock I am not growing myself, although I could. It grows wild everywhere here on Whidbey Island, but burdock root is a real booger to dig up and work with. It's hard as a rock. And just through trying it myself, realizing it's going to be better time saving for me to have someone else do that work. So I source it from a wonderful place. I do burdock, which is great for hair growth. And the rosemary is also really great for hair growth, but it's also great for fighting any kind of bacteria on the skin. And the calendula is just super soothing to the skin. So we're making a beard balm that is a softener for the beard. So it's not a shaper. It's not going to have a putty or anything like that consistency. It's really more of the balm that turns into a soft oil. It treats the hair of the beard as well as treating the skin underneath. My husband was getting some pretty bad beard drift and he gets red and inflamed and it just calms it right down.
Yeah.
That one's been pretty popular. It's been nice to have a product that the men will stop. Like when I'm selling at markets, the men will actually stop and try and be interested.
Well, it's such cute packaging too. I love that you say for badass beards.
Yeah, that's my husband. He's also, as well as my fat man, he is my graphic designer. He does all my labeling and helps me with fun ideas for names. Yeah.
That's so helpful to have a partner with.
It is. He's been really supportive and fun to have things like he totally came up with the fleece grease idea.
That's great. And so what's next for the business? I guess you've already talked about some fun new ideas.
Right. Yeah. We don't have huge plans of growth. That's not on our radar. We want to keep it small. I'm not wanting to hire. I'm not wanting to expand. I just want to be a local source for Whidbey and the surrounding areas for tallow. And I'll keep making it probably as long as people want to still get it from me. But this is really just a kind of an empty nest hobby / business for me. I needed something to focus on them once I'd raised and homeschooled my 3 kids. And it's gotten me very much into herbalism, which I super enjoy. And it's got me researching a lot and learning a lot. And now I know I just want to keep it kind of where it's at. We might add a little product here or there, do some tweaks. If something's not doing well, we'll change it up a little bit. But so far, there's only been one product that we've had to stop making. Well, that's not true because I stopped making the honey lip balm. But at the very beginning, we had just a lavender, pure lavender. And I was using a local lavender, my favorite lavender from Lavender Wind Farm in Coupeville. They have a pink head coat that to me was the best lavender I've ever smelled in my life. It's so much that now I grow the plants because it's the most lovely smell. But for some reason, the lavender was turning sooner than it should have. I would go do quality control testing at their stores that are offering my products. And I would smell after about 4 months, 5 months, and it wasn't smelling right. It was like the smell had changed in the bottle. After realizing that, I just pulled it and said, no, we're not going to deal with that, even though it wasn't a huge seller. People either love lavender or they hate it. I figured I could include lavender elsewhere, and it is in our calendula balm.
We haven't talked about that.
Yeah, we have a calendula balm. Oh, I love it. It's overall like a first aid product. It's in a 1-ounce tin. A lot of calendula balms, they're very popular. Most of them are sold or made with shea butter. A lot of people use shea in their calendula, but we're tallow based. So my base is tallow, and I add almost equal amounts of the calendula and chamomile infused jojoba oil, along with local beeswax, and then just some lavender and chamomile essential oils. And it creates this wonderful balm that's great for treating cracked cuticles, cracked heels, any kind of cut, open cut, or a bite or burn. Oh, it's done wonderful things for treating burns. We've put it on pets' paw pads that get dry in the summertime or wintertime. It treats paw pads. We've actually healed a chicken's neck with it. Chicken got attacked by a raccoon and its neck was literally almost ripped off. And we sprayed it with hypochlorous acid, which is an amazing product too for healing, and then packed it with our calendula balm. And we did that, and within a week, its feathers were growing back. We've seen it do some crazy things, and it's healed not just animals, but my in-laws have used it and successfully healed up. When you get older, you get really thin skin, and you can just bump into something and it opens and you don't even realize it, but you're bleeding. So they would just put it on their wounds like that, and it just heals it right up. It's a pretty miraculous product.
That's amazing. That's more of like a thicker product.
It is. It's a balm. Any of my balms are going to have beeswax in them. But instead of it being whippy like a butter, it's going to be more solid. And as it warms to your skin, it softens.
Are there any other sustainability or community aspects of your business that you'd like to highlight?
That's kind of the whole reason we love doing markets. We are part of the Anacortes Farmers Market and also the Skagit Valley Farmers Market. And we do lots of different events and smaller markets here on the island. Love educating people. With tallow, I find that if it's at a store, unless you have someone there that's able to educate about it, it's not a great seller. People won't just gravitate towards be like, oh, tallow, I'm going to buy some. They need to learn about why. Why should I first, what is it? And then why should I use it? So being able to educate is really our goals at going to the market. We love teaching people that there's a natural option for their skin. I love hearing the stories that come back afterwards. I've had people come up, a gal come up during her pregnancy. She got horrible cystic acne all along her jawline. Her whole jawline was just horribly covered with cystic acne. And she ended up taking some of the Pure home, and it helped. She took pictures. It's so good. I'm horrible about putting testimonials up on my website. I need to be better about that. But hearing the benefits is just amazing. I love when people come back at the markets and tell me that they've been loving the product, that it's been helping them. I've had a gentleman that had pretty severe nasal surgery, like inside his nose. They had to do some like opening, and he said, they told me to put Vaseline up there every night. Every single night I'm supposed to pack my nose with Vaseline. And I'm like, oh, please don't do that. I just handed him some calendula balm and I said, give this a shot because I think that you'll enjoy this so much more. Being able to tell people that there's options is really key for us. And then also being able to take a product like suet, which Three Sisters in general, before tallow making became popular, they weren't selling a bunch of suet. People would buy it to mix with birdseed, or maybe there was a random candle maker. I don't know, but they weren't selling a bunch of suet. But I'm pretty much clearing out their suet supply right now. And I think that's wonderful if you're looking at the animal and using nose to tail as much as possible, honoring the animal. And it's using a product that generally would be wasteful and not used. And now being able to use it and turn it into something that's so healing is really rewarding.
I love it. Well, you make fantastic products. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where can people get connected with you and purchase your products?
I always love to guide people to my website first. That's trutallow.com. So pretty easy. TRU. There's no E on it. It's just TRU. And if you're local here on Whidbey Island, you can actually use the code local and pick up from my house directly. And that way you can save on shipping. And so I always offer free porch pickup. I'm located between Coopville and Oak Harbor. So it's easy for that to happen for most islanders. But then also, if you're on the island, there's only a couple places on island currently, and that's Three Sisters Market, which is in Penn Cove, and then also at your shop, Salinity. And then off island, I'm at the Skagit Valley Co-op in Mount Vernon, and then I'm at 2 locations in Bellingham and 1 location in Ferndale. So I'm at Leonard Street's Coffee House in Bellingham, and I'm at Living Pantry in Bellingham, and then we're at markets. We love visiting with you at markets.
And then you're on Instagram as well?
Yes, Instagram and Facebook. I'm not the best with posting social media. I'm just kind of old school that way. But when we do have specials, if you do follow me on the socials, I do run specials quite often for different holidays. I try and offer, like for Mother's Day, I try and offer free shipping as a little incentive. And if I have overstock, like I just had an overstock of some of my products and I ran a special and people grabbed them. So
that's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Callie. This has been really nice.
thank you.
I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you.
If you'd like to support other small businesses from the Pacific Northwest, head over to eatsalinity.com. That's EATSALINITY. You can also shop in person if you're here on Whidbey Island. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, subscribe, and tell all your friends. This podcast is hosted by me, Emily Wilder, CEO of Salinity Seafood More. It's edited by Luke Hagopian and exists entirely to eventually bring everyone to the topic of our native Olympia oyster species. Please help increase demand and appreciation for this beautiful oyster by asking for it everywhere you find oysters.
Our love is like an onion, many layers.